Hi everybody, welcome to the Sunday Gold stream. I'm going to try not to look at my face on the other monitor too much. I'm Felix from Become Studios. I'm going to play Sunday Gold today, and as a special treat, I'm going to play Chapter 2, and hopefully I can be heard correctly, and I'm not sure I need my headphones. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to get started right away, and hopefully as people join us, just feel free to say hi, ask questions if you want. I can speak French as well. So let's get started well, I played a bit yesterday and I finished chapter 1, so I didn't want to spoil the end of chapter 1 because it's a big reveal. But we're at the pub right after the mission, so now we're going to see how things play out. So we just finished the first chapter of the game. Well, the characters just did. And now we're gonna... Gavin's not in a good place right now. He's freaking out about something that happened in the first chapter. I'll let you players discover what that was. And now we can examine him. Yeah, Frank says like he's not doing so well. So we can talk to him.
Hey Gavin, you doing okay, mate?
And realizing that I don't need my headphones, I'm just gonna take them off. It's gonna be better. And yeah.
Time for a drink. Or 6.
Yeah, Frank knows the solution to most of life's problems. So let's get him... let's calm him down with a couple of drinks. Now we can talk to Sally. You know, it's an adventure game. We can do whatever we want until we decide to move the plot forward. So yeah, Frank knows that he's supposed to do something because there's an objective over here. And now if we talk to Sally, she's gonna kind of like
Just giving Gavin
get
a few
moving,
minutes
man.
to calm down.
Just get him a drink, will ya? He needs something to take his mind off what he's seen.
So now let's get things moving because I can look at the mission log over here and see that I need to kind of calm Gavin down a bit, and Frank has a couple of interesting little things that he's noted about what he's seen, so you can read that. And now let's go talk to the bartender and order some drinks for Gavin.
Something that would warm the garden burners, so A mate's having a wee bit of a rough night.
Yeah, no shit. You better have not brought a squid in here, Frank. I got no patience for that junky shit.
So, as we can see and hear, all the dialogues in the game are voiced. When a character is examining things, they're going to think it, so it's a inner thought, so it's not voiced. But when there's conversations between characters, it's all in voiceover.
He hasn't swallowed anything
So-
other than bad news tonight. He'll be right,
All the
Strange.
characters have some cool voices and that fit with their personalities very well.
You're a shit liar, Frank. Here you go. Let me guess. Put it on your tab.
You know me too well, darling.
Now we're getting a round of beers. And yeah, Sunday Gold, I'll just introduce the game a bit because I've been doing these streams for a while now. And I'm assuming that people know what the game is, but let's start from scratch. Sunday Gold is an adventure game with RPG elements that was made by Become Studios and released October 13th, so 2 weeks ago. Yeah, roughly. And it's out on PC right now, available on Steam. It's a decent price, so it's worth checking out, I think. Well, I worked on it, so I'm biased, but still. So you're these three characters. Hey, Sophie. And so you're these three characters, Frank, that we're seeing playable right now, Gavin, and Sally, which when you're in a mission, they're all controllable. In the pub, it's just Frank because you're doing some story development stuff. So you're involved in a weird, kind of strange situation where Frank tries to get some money because he's in trouble with the mob. He meets up with Sally, who's his former colleague, where they're criminals together in a small gang. She introduces him to Gavin, and they have a job that they go try to do. It doesn't work out all that well. That's chapter 1. And then at the end, you don't have any money because the job didn't pan out. And Gavin's in the panic mode because he's seen something that's really bad that he's done in the past. So now you kind of have to figure out what's happening there, and you're gonna go into the 2 subsequent chapters to kind of try to sort things out. But now let's go give Gavin some beers. That's the adventure game part, and there's an RPG system on top of that where the characters grow with experience points, typical RPG. And there's combat in the JRPG Final Fantasy style when you meet enemies, and because you're kind of infiltrating or basically breaking into these places that you're going to go into during the chapters. So let's give Gavin his beers.
Here, drink this.
So just a little medicine.
I think I'm feeling a little. What are we doing in the pub?
Nope, now he snaps out of his funk, and then
Got us a little
figures out
worried.
that they're back at the base.
By the way, your friend Sally saved your deadbeat ass and paid off your tab. You can go to your office dungeon whenever you want. Just don't run up another tab like that again.
Thanks, Sally.
Right, sorry. Well, you're welcome, Frank. Think nothing of it, really.
Yeah, Sally. Frank's pretty much the king of snark and sarcasm, but Sally holds her own as well. So yeah, and a good imitation of Frank also. And so now Frank returned the money in the basically the prelude of the game. Frank returned the money, I did, to the guy that was getting beat up in the alley. So there's a little comeback from that where the guy just basically woke up and then went back home and left something for Frank as a thank you. So now we can talk. Gavin's back to his normal self. Still twitchy, but not as panicky as before. So let's talk to him. Also, during my playthrough of Chapter 1 yesterday, I kind of spotted the thing that hinted that Gary Marshall was going to get assassinated in, well, let's say tomorrow morning in-game. So I got Gavin to send him a message to run away from his house and meet them at the pub, so now he's sitting there. If I hadn't, he wouldn't be there. So you have a couple of instances where you can influence the plot and the outcome of some events in the game. So now we have Gary Marshall over here. I can talk to him, examine him first. Oh, he's new. Frank's always there, so he knows that Gary
Hey,
kind of
Gary.
stands out.
Thanks for coming.
So now Gavin knows him because they were colleagues. Gavin was working at the same place that Gary was.
Are you feeling better? You looked pretty rattled when you first came in.
Yeah, just had a bad reaction to, something.
What's going on?
Gary, were you working for Hogan Industries?
Oh, I still work for them.
You may want to reconsider that. We found an email from Barry to some hitman with instructions to pay you a visit tomorrow morning. That's why I told you to come here tonight.
What? Why? Because I was bad at my job?
Barry thought you knew too much.
That son of a... I should call and give him a piece of my mind.
About that.
Yeah, Barry won't be around anymore.
What? He got fired?
No. Little more serious than that. Yeah, a little more serious. We found him dead in a dumpster and his blood splattered all over his office.
Speaking of bad things that were happening in Chapter 1, if you've played a bit or you've seen the streams, we've met Barry, well, his corpse, in a dumpster. So there's some bad stuff going on in Hogan Industries in general.
I'm not going back to work on
And
Monday.
if you explore
The
Chapter 1 a
whole
bit
boss
and you
wanted to have me
find some of
killed,
the secrets, you're gonna find
Why?
the recording of what took place in Barry's office, just as a hint. So yeah, Gary just resigned
Probably a
from
good
Hogan
decision.
Industries. And that's an achievement. So we met Gary in the pub, we're making friends, so that's one of the achievements in the game. Just a reminder that, well, to everyone in the chat, if you're here, say hi. It's nice to have people to chat with. And feel free to ask questions if you play the game and you want to give feedback. That's awesome. If you haven't played the game and you're curious, just feel free to ask. I worked on the game as a game designer. We were 2 game designers working together on the game, and we had level design help from another colleague. So I think that turned out pretty great. And what else is there to say? So okay, now you have objectives when you play. So I'm gonna look at the objective log again. Now I calmed Gavin down. Good job, me. And now I can interrogate Gavin because we're gonna try to figure out what happened in there. So that hopefully will lead Frank to some info on how to get his money that he owes the mob. So I can talk to Gavin. And now we're gonna go into a conversation with Gavin.
I think so. Thanks for getting me out of there.
It's all good. You up for a chat?
So now we
What's
can
up?
talk a bit. So in the game we have some linear dialogues, and some of them are in a sort of branching tree format where you're talking and then you can choose one of these options, and it's gonna loop to that menu until you choose nevermind to kind of end the conversation. So you can ask whatever you want to ask. So that's all stuff that took place in Chapter 1 that we're gonna kind of return on to. Okay, so you worked for Hogan Industries before, like
Would have been my 6th
how long
year
did you work
next
there?
month.
6 years working for that psychopath.
Well, I never worked directly for Kenny Hogan. Well, you'd barely see him at the office. No, he'd be off somewhere secret doing his billionaire thing.
Why so long?
And
Didn't you
the
say
little
you fucking
perk
hated
today,
the place
I'm
and
streaming
all
from
your
home.
colleagues?
So that's really nice. That was the garbage truck that just passed by. So now, yeah, Gavin kind of hated working in an office in general, but Frank's kind of like, that's kind of weird. You worked there for a while.
But it was easy work and left me with free time for personal projects.
Yeah, so Gavin enjoyed the free time and the income, so he could do his thing,
Such
which we
as?
discover, right now.
My universal hacking tool, the Hackerboy Ultra. I'm proper proud of that one. Oh, I'm also a member of a hacktivist group who expose and topple corrupt elements of society. Then there's my recreational pharmaceutical endeavors.
Yeah, Kevin's into recreational pharmaceuticals.
So the hack twits. What do you do exactly?
It's hacktivism, but whatever. We work together to gather supposedly inaccessible information and release it to the media. We scour the internet for leads, or sometimes we follow Lady Shell's reports. And recently, I got in touch with someone inside the Ogun Excelsior warehouse.
Isn't a warehouse worker pretty low on the information totem pole?
Well, my contact was involved in something a lot stranger. But I haven't heard from them in days.
And what about these pharmaceutical endeavors? Contract work for some big medical company or something?
You're forgetting about the recreational part? I've got a little lab set up in my flat to work on, altering meds. I can increase or reduce or even remove the side effects of medication. What's up?
So now, as I was saying, the conversation tree, when you get to the end of one of the branches, you go back to the root and you can choose another branch. So now we're back at this menu over here. And we could explore a bit more, so I think we could do that. So let's talk about the incident. The end of chapter 1 has a big reveal, which I won't really spoil. If you've played it, you know what it is. If you didn't, then I think that's one of the fun things about the game, where it's very narrative driven. So you have this big storyline that you're taking a part of, and you're digging through what's happening and kind of trying to solve puzzles and going around the environments to make progress in your missions. And then there are some events that take place and that reveal some things and kind of throw a wrench in the plans, because, I mean, Frank's a criminal by choice and that's his career, but let's say that you don't really get into that line of work and expect things to work smoothly. So something kind of strange happens once in a while, and that's one of those jobs right now.
Yeah, you saw what happened.
Maybe we should talk more about this downstairs.
Yeah. And now we're going to introduce the basement of the pub in a couple seconds.
What's up?
So I can leave that to all you players to read and discover, and we're going to end the conversation. So, okay. And now we have access to the basement of the pub, where we can go that's Frank's office, quote unquote, where you can kind of plan his job. So we're going to go explore that.
Here we are. What do you think?
So Frank's really proud about his office, but the other characters not so much.
What's that smell?
Yeah.
It's just above for you. This is a perfectly good place to plan our next steps.
So we have this little office over here. A couple of things that we can look at and interact with. So we have this poster, a case of Ogun Excelsior, Frank's least favorite brand of booze, but we have a case of Birmingham's Finest, which is Frank's favorite brand of whiskey.
Birmingham's finest. Now that's the real stuff.
Serious, Frank. The only glass I ever had gave me the fiery shits for 3 days straight.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste from what we can see now.
Frank's drank so much of the shit, his body now needs it to survive.
So we can search it and take one bottle. Now we can talk with the other heroes, which are very casual on the big couch, or maybe the couch is a bit worn out and kind of busted, so they fall through. So let's examine Gavin again, and let's talk to him.
Gavin, tell us more about what happened.
Yeah, what do you remember?
A few days ago, my contact inside the warehouse notified HQ that their server needed maintenance. They asked for me specifically, as we had agreed.
That contact of yours. Have you met him in person?
No, we only chatted anonymously. No names, no faces.
Oh, hello. Hello, Holito, which I'm assuming is Ali Giroux from work. Just a wild guess, but I think, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, if you're somebody else. I'm good. Okay, Hi, Ellie. Nice to meet you in the chat. So, welcome to the chat. Welcome, everybody. Playing Sunday Gold today. Playing basically the end of Chapter 1. And I'm going to start Chapter 2 in a couple of minutes. So, we're going to discover something that we haven't seen on stream yet, I think. And just going to go through more of the game. And if you have questions and comments, feel free. I'm here for that. So now we discover basically Gavin's contact in the warehouse, and they had a whole setup ready to kind of for Gavin to infiltrate the warehouse and discover what was going on there. But that went sideways as well.
So it was a typical maintenance call.
Yeah, but something was off. They assigned a guard to follow me as soon as I stepped foot inside the building. My contact told me to stay in the building for a few hours before contacting them. Oh, I just fucked around, pretended to keep working even after finishing.
Did you eventually reach out to this contact?
Sent them a message from the loo, and they told me to get ready.
Get ready for what?
I know, right? Fucking cryptic bollocks. So, I went back to the server, still pretending to work with the guard watching over my shoulder the whole time.
Then it happened?
It's coming back to me in bits and pieces. Screams, gunshots, some running. It's kind of a blur.
He's going to that place again, which is not good.
I'm warm, I'm cold, I'm freezing.
And as we can see, the comic book aesthetic that we're using throughout the game, now we see like the portraits that change when the characters change expressions. That's Gavin's kind of freaked out portrait with the background. When he's angry, it goes full anime anger with animation and everything. But now he's just like scared and panicking, so his big eyes and...
Doors buzzing. They're hurting someone. I hide. I see a knife. Oh, it burns. One long blink.
Now we see what took place in the lab, in the warehouse.
My eyes open again. And Ellie, the sun is rising. In the end, I don't even know what the fuck happened.
So now Gavin's mad because he's lost some consciousness for a while in his life, and he blacked out, and that
We definitely
happened.
need to find out more about that place.
So now we know what our next mission is. We're gonna go infiltrate that warehouse and try to find out what happened with Gavin and what's happening there, because he found people experimenting on something and in a warehouse that's supposed to be like crates and barrels of, in this case, whiskey. So let's go try to figure out what's going on. So we're gonna talk to Sally next, because Sally's the brains of the operation, so she's gonna probably have a plan on what we're gonna do. Let's examine the mission board for a second. Yeah, just they keep track of everything that they've worked on, so that's a lot of different missions and kind of connections between things. So let's examine Sally in her super casual, laid-back pose. And let's talk to her.
A secret lab in the city? Are you fucking kidding?
I know, but that video was filmed somewhere. And we've seen a few documents that point to that Hogan Excelsior warehouse.
So the mystery thickens. The plot thickens.
Enough to make it worth checking out, if you ask me.
Going to the Excelsior warehouse. What is happening in my life right now?
If you're lucky, you might even get to tip a crate over or something.
How are we gonna do this?
Tomorrow evening, we'll drive to the warehouse and have a look.
Seems too simple.
I've been inside these kinds of places. People are really uptight when the boss is around during the day, but pretty slack during the night shift. We'll find an open door, something someone forgot to lock. Once we're inside, we'll look for the lab that Gavin is talking about.
Then what?
We'll try to find as much incriminating proof as possible. It'll be worth a few quid if we sell it to the media or a competitor.
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah, now it's money talk, so that Frank's interested.
And what do we do if good old Gav steps off the same train like he did in Ogun HQ?
That might be an issue.
We're gonna have to manage him. We'll need his expertise in there.
This is gonna go really good, or really bad. And I'm sure tons of fun for the whole family.
Foreshadowing? Yeah, it's a fun chapter. Well, from having played it and worked on it. But yeah, okay, so now when we're ready to get going, we talk to Sally. So I could kind of move around the pub again. I could go back upstairs to talk to the people and interact with the objects. But now let's get moving. So we're gonna play some chapter 2 action right now. So now we have a new action on Sally that says let's go, and then start chapter 2 to indicate that, you know, we're gonna leave the pub and move on with the story. So let's get going. Completed revelations. And now we're going to chapter 2. So, some context. The game takes place in 2070 in London.
So, this is it?
Just gonna let Sally talk a bit.
Looks like a warehouse.
So far, not that impressed. They're not like, oh, this is amazing. That's like, oh, okay, it's typical warehouse. Like, Gavin, you're BSing
I
us.
swear this is the place. That lift goes to the lab, and the freight elevator goes to the prison.
Sure, a prison and a high-tech lab.
Well, what is pretty fucking real is the security staff in that office over there. How do you suggest we get past them?
Well, I was supposed to be here last time, so they just waved me in.
Obviously, that doesn't help us now. Let's have a look around the warehouse, see what we can come up with.
So now we are in chapter 2. Just going back to the context, it's in 2070 in London. Basically some speculative fiction. Hopefully we're not too on the nose and correct about what's happening, because it's not a great place to live in, this speculative future world. So the characters are criminals that are kind of, in this case, sort of investigating something strange that's taking place in the city. And they're butting heads with Kenny Hogan, the sort of multi-billionaire CEO of a giant corporation that controls pretty much everything, that has his hands in every thing that takes place and all the decision making of this society and a lot of the world as well. So it's all kind of a sort of the underclass rising against the super powerful, but still it's this whole thing that's taking place on the background of dog races with like cybernetically and genetically modified creatures that are essentially technically dogs but barely robots with dog bits in there. And yeah, they're just fighting to the death and racing in these bloody, brutal races that have become basically the big sport to watch and attend in this future society. So the characters have their different motivations to kind of go against Kenny Hogan, because Sally likes dogs and she works at a shelter and she doesn't like the treatment that the dogs of the races have done to them. So she kind of goes against Hogan for that. And because she works with Frank needs money because he's always broke, and he took some mob loans that basically are going to cost him his kneecaps in a couple of days. I think next week in the prologue. And Gavin worked for the corporation, but now he realizes that something happened to him, and he tries to figure out what it is. And he thinks that he's got a good lead on information that could, first of all, topple the company and be worth a lot of money. So they're there for different motivations. And we can see some of them play out as the game progresses. And also they all have different skills. Gavin is the techie guy, so he hacks devices with his little hacking device that we're going to see in a couple of minutes because we have some hacking to do in this room. Frank's the kind of sneaky thief where he picks locks, conventional locks with a lockpick set that we're going to do. Oh, well, we can do it right now. Hopefully I won't be as bad as I was yesterday night when I played it. Takes a little practice, but yeah, we have Frank's pick lock action that we're going to go do on the electrical box. So we have this lock picking mini game where we move the pick around the circle to follow the sweet spot, because now it's disappeared. But now if I find it again, if I stop the green marker inside the sweet spot, click, click, I'll be able to unlock the electrical box. And hire someone in the chat that just logged in. I'll get to you in a second if I can do this correctly. Oh yeah. So now, hello cosplay Tina Fit. Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. If you have any questions about the game, feel free. If you want to speak French, also feel free. Yeah, because that was seriously, I embarrassed myself by myself yesterday trying to pick a lock. It took like 4 tries and it was really a lot more difficult than it should have been, but it had been a while. So now I got it first try. Yay me. And so now let's look at the objectives. So now, yeah, there's this supposedly creepy lab that Gavin can't stop talking about, but now Frank's got a lot of doubts, because when you look at the objective log, that's basically Frank's journal where he just writes down stuff like, oh, this Gavin guy is full of it, and blah blah blah. And now he kind of adds some information about what he needs to do. So because we're gonna have to distract the guard, that's the first objective in the level, because he watches the lift from his office, and he's able to summon reinforcements if we kind of try to sneak in and he sees us. So we're gonna have to do something. But currently we can roam freely in the warehouse unless we try to use the lift or the freight elevator, because he's just watching television, basically. He's watching the races on TV. So let's remove the fuse to get going. And now we got a heavy duty fuse.
Oh, what?
No, uh-oh.
Who turned off the light?
Now we just turned off the power in his office.
Oh, now I'm stuck in here. Bloody electric Tom.
Yeah, now he's stuck in his
Tom?
office.
Is that you? Not funny, mate. Not funny at all.
He is right pissed now.
Pathetic sod. Not much he can do about it now.
And the cameras watching the lift are disabled too. Top-notch security system they've got here.
Let's get cracking, my lovelies. We ain't got all night.
So now, the first step, we've distracted the guard. He can't summon reinforcements right now, but sadly, the lift is still inactive. So we're gonna have to do something about that.
Guys, the lift door still won't open. I press the button and nothing happens.
The guard has control over the system.
And I don't think he'll be too keen to let us access the lift now.
Gav, you think we can get in by hacking the call button?
Not by hacking. The button doesn't have any power. That's what the guard controls from his office.
How do we power it on then? Is there a backup power source?
The call button is connected to the panels on the catwalk above. All we have to do is find which one it's connected to, and then turn on the redundant power supply.
Simple. So again, Senegold is an adventure game. That's what I'm playing right now. And it's an adventure game with RPG elements. So the characters, as you perform actions, complete objectives, they're gonna gain experience points and level up. When they level up, they gain new skill points to put into different skills that are gonna be either combat skills, in Frank's case, long guns, because he has rifles and shotguns, and light melee weapons, he has knives and different like police batons and stuff. Or investigation and leadership skills, which are basically exploration, so the non-combat stuff in investigation's case. But there's some combat stuff that comes in because Keen Eye lets him see the weaknesses and strengths of the enemies. And leadership that gives him abilities to manage composure, because the characters throughout the game have their composure affected by different actions that take place. Sometimes they can take stress damage that reduces their composure and makes them kind of react differently to certain events or perform differently in combat. Or you can gain composure, so basically restore their calm. Currently, they just went to the pub, so they're at full composure, but some actions that they're going to do are going to affect that soon. So now we can explore a bit more. We currently have this fence door that's in the way, so let's pick that lock. And again, lock picking, gonna take the time. And it's satisfying because it's the little and the animation at the end is really nice as well. And this one's tiny. Okay. Do over. Was really close though, I mean. Okay. I'll blame it on lag, but it's local game. It's a local game, so no lag for me, but still getting there. Trying to jump the gun a bit. And let's not try to fudge that one too much. Success. Barely a challenge. Like, Frank's confident. Every time you succeed or fail at a minigame challenge, we've seen Frank's twice, but Sally's and Gavin's are going to be coming up. The characters kind of have a little reaction, like, when they succeed, it's like, I'm the best, no challenge, whatever. And when they fail, like, something went wrong, that wasn't me. So, yeah. Now we have access to the bridge controls. Let's go in there. Frank has the fuse that he picked up, so I can put that in this slot over here. Oh, something's happening in the room. Let's go take a look. Now we see that this part of the bridge that crosses the freight elevator when moved down. So now we could have access to halfway across the bridge. So let's try to find a way to make it work to get there. So now we have this broken pipe over here that Sally can examine. Uh-oh, looks really warm. So let's maybe turn off the steam. And now the steam is gone, and I can try to pull the broken pipe. And that was such an easy move for Sally because she's the strong one that no problem. No minigame needed, but we're going to have one of Sally's minigames over here where we remove the access panel, or the panel, to expose the bridge controls. So let's go do Sally's minigame. Frank picks locks, Gavin hacks electronic devices, and Sally is a strong one, so she's going to use her strength. And she uses that through like breathing exercises and visualization, so she tries to focus her energy. So we are focusing energy as to try to fight the reactions of the little pointing arrow to stay in the focus area. We can do that with the mouse, and we can do that with the W and the A and D keys. Yeah. Success. That went well, and now we rip off the panel to expose the bridge controls. So now let's try to interact with that a bit. I don't want to go full walkthrough, speedrun. So if I remove the fuse, we see that the bridge is back to its completely open state. So what can we do? Let's put it in the other one, see what it does. Now, the bridge, the first part is up, but the second part is down. So, only have one fuse, so what can we do? Well, we have the bridge controls exposed, and I picked up a copper pipe or iron pipe a couple minutes ago, so let's try to do something with that. So, Gavin, I'll go into the characters' inventories. It's an RPG game as well, alongside the adventure game. So we have inventories of consumables. So if I get injured, I can use painkillers, or if different statuses happen, I can use other consumables. We have weapons. In this case, a baseball bat for Gavin and a pistol. Some gear that I didn't pick up all that many pieces in the first level, but there's some gear that's going to be coming soon. And key items. In this case, Gavin has nothing, but if I go to Sally, she has the broken pipe. That I can give to Gavin, because I'm going to use my action points efficiently. So if we look at gear, we also have different types of ammunition that change the damage type of your firearms. Each character can use one melee weapon and one firearm type of weapon. So and also there's damage types in the game, so enemies have different resistances. So some enemies could be resistant to, let's say, blunt weapons, so baseball bats and Sally's brass knuckles. But if you use a different type of damage that the enemies are not resistant to, you're going to be able to inflict more damage and also have bonuses in combat. So now Frank's firearm damage, instead of being regular piercing damage, is going to be slashing damage, so it's going to shred skin and armor. So that's going to be more efficient in some cases. And Sally has a first aid kit because I picked it up in chapter 1, and that improves her healing abilities. So now let's use our action points efficiently, and Gavin will go jam the broken pipe into the gears over here. And now, Crafty, since the bridge won't be able to move, can remove the fuse. And let's exit this view over here. We see that the bridge is still down because it was jammed with the pipe. So I'm going to insert the fuse into the other half. And now, I think we have a way open to get to the other side. Well done. So now I have access to this catwalk over here with these terminals and an air vent. We'll see what it does. And now we see that the terminals are linked via cables, and there's a red cable going to the lift controls. So I can, yeah, it's going to cost me some action points. So I can hack all of them, or I could try to figure out what links to where, so I'll do that. Let's end the turn. So the adventure game part blends a sort of, not time management, but since you're in a hostile place with people kind of trying to either get you out of there or hunt you and kill you, you have this mechanic where we have action points to perform exploration actions. So you interact with the environment, you use abilities. So if Sally was to heal somebody, it costs her 1 action point in this case. Or if Frank uses observe, then it costs 5 action points. When your action points are depleted, or whatever you want, you can end the turn. And when you end the turn, let's say when it's your turn, the time stops and you're just doing your thing. And when you end the turn, time resumes for a while, and the enemies can potentially get the jump on you, or some events can take place. So you kind of exist in this world where you're doing your thing. You're not rushed during the exploration, but when you end the turn, some things happen, and then you refill your action points, and you get to play the exploration again to continue your mission. So let's kind of observe over here. We have this conduit that goes straight down, this one that goes down over here, and this one that goes around. So let's use Sally to move these big shipping crates. And now we see that this panel appears to be the one connecting to the lift. So let's go hack this panel over here. You can examine them. There's some information. Restricted access. So I'm going to have to hack it. So now we see Gavin's minigame. So when Gavin needs to hack something, he takes out his Hacker Boy Ultra that he talked about earlier. And we have a mastermind style game where we are trying to figure out a combination of 4 digits to bypass the security. he explains how it works in the first chapter. But basically, we're trying to guess the combination with feedback from the device. So now I'm going to enter all ones. And we see from this green dot and the 4 red squares that the green dot says that one of the digits is correct and in the right position. And the red squares tell us that one of the digits is incorrect. So in this case, we have a 1 somewhere in the combination. So let's try, assume it's going to be the first position, and try with 1, 2, 2, 2. So now we see that there's at least a 1 because it was in the first all ones combination, and there's at least a 2, but we're not sure if 1 is in the right place or 2 is in the right place, but it probably isn't the 2 that's in the right place because then we have 2 green lights, but let's try to explore a bit more. So we know that there's a 2, we know that there's a 1. So 2, 1, 5, 5. Now, that's some valuable information. We know that there's a 2 and a 1, but there's no 5s. There aren't any 5s. And we know that the 2 and the 1 aren't in the right position right now. So let's dig a little more. Let's try 6, 2, 1, 6. Oh, okay. Again, valuable information. There's 2. Well, now we know that by process of elimination, we know that there's 2 6s, a 1 and a 2, and that 2 of the digits currently are in the right position. So let's assume that it's the first 6 and the 2, and then we're going to flip the other 2 around and see how it goes. 6, 2, 6, 1. Okay. Again, information. One of the digits is correct, and all the rest aren't in the right place. So let's go back to, let's say 6, 6, 1, 2, and that was correct. So I didn't get any insight. I just tried something and kind of deduced how it works. And for everybody that says it's not doable, it's very doable. But yeah, I mean, it takes a little thinking. It's contrary to what people think. It's not based on Wordle. In our defense, Wordle didn't exist before when we got to designing that game, that mini game. But yeah, it's just basically mastermind rules that are affected by Gavin's composure. Because initially, I was at full composure with Gavin, the little wheel over here. So that went super well. Everything was perfect. When you start losing composure, you're going to lose some of your attempts. You have 12 attempts when Gavin's at full composure. If you get to half composure, you're going to get about 9 attempts. And the visuals are going to be distorted a bit. So the digits are going to flicker between different, basically, your 4s could become A's or something. Some kind of lead speak visuals. And you're going to have all these weird visual effects that kind of try to distract you from trying to figure out what's going on with the game, but with the mini game. But it's all still doable. Sometimes composure, yeah, starting with all 1s, all 2s, all 3s, you can figure out what's in the combination, and you kind of go from there. Because trying 1, 2, 3, 4, and then trying to figure out all of that's kind of not impossible, but challenging. So we can access the computer. So we've seen the exploration gameplay. We haven't seen combat yet, but we're probably going to see one before the end of the stream. But now let's access the computer interface. So we have this network terminal. From Lithico Enterprises, join us, we're going places. Basically, we're in the lift controls. So we have access to the lift controls and warehouse access controls. So let's go in lift control, access management. Yeah, we're gonna override the lift control security system because it's currently tied to the security office, but we're gonna bind it back to the panel. So good job. And now we see that the freight elevator is locked by timer, so we're not gonna have access to that right now. And the lift to the lobby is unlocked, which is what we were looking for. We also can look at the warehouse access controls to see a little memo from the boss. Yeah, that's Barry. Rest in peace, Barry. That, or rest in pieces in this case. But yeah, just like, hey, this is a little memo reminding you that maybe you're working security in our warehouse, so try not to sleep on the job or be terrible at your job, because we're gonna discover that something really bad happened. And yeah, now we see some stuff about the warehouse.
That was the one. Nice.
So we have unlocked the lift. We see that it's green now and the doors open. And I like the hacking minigame, so I'm going to hack. Is it this one? Yeah, it's hard. Let's go for a hard hack. So as we were seeing, to unlock the lift, we did an average hack that was average difficulty. So we had 4 digits on this keypad over here that we could use, because the Hacker Boy Ultra is really smart. If it detects that there's no, in universe, but when it's an average hack, it knows that only 4 of the digits will be potentially used, so it blocks out 2 of them. In this case, we're gonna try to figure out what the combination is with 6 digits. Let's use Holly Strick with all ones, so no ones. That's like no info. Negative result is a good result as well. So no ones in the combination, we can just block that one out of our heads. And 3 2s. Okay, that's gonna be. Let's go by process of elimination. So is it gonna be all the first 3s, the first 2s that are good, and the 3 at the end? Oh, okay. So we have a 3. So let's go 2 2 3 2. And success. Hard. Too easy. So that's not the right. That wasn't the one for the elevator, or for the lift. We're in London. So we can access this computer as well, and now there's project management. So that's the panel for the warehouse boss, basically. So there's information about the different projects that are taking place in the warehouse or in Hogan Industries in general. So we have a little lore text over here, where basically that's the ISIS project. So just there's test subjects, and they're trying to determine their suitability for experiments. That could be good. They could be experimenting on, I don't know, just like reflexes or physical fitness, but maybe it's not all that good. So they're placing candidates in stasis. The quality candidates are placed in stasis, and the other ones are held until their usefulness is ascertained. So probably not the best situation for these test subjects. The Anubis project. So we're having issues. So we're running low on specimens. So now we have a team that's called Animal Control that has to step up the recruiting process. And we're gonna run out of, if we run out of specimens, the science team will be blocked, and that's not a good situation. And now we have to assess the specimen's aggressivity, but they're instructing the team to use interns because the regular staff is too valuable. So, okay, again, I think little hints, but no big reveals so far, but I think hopefully it piques your curiosity as you're reading this. And now the Osiris project. So, yeah, just only in the know personnel around the experiments because they're sensitive, and the security personnel are not trustworthy, and it hints that there was a purge at some point of the security personnel, so yeah, maybe they discovered something they shouldn't have. And now the Amunra project with confidential mark next to it. So yeah, some mysterious stuff about Amunra. So now that's the project board for Hogan Soft. And now I really want to look at the next one. So I'll end the turn. And I'm going to hack the next terminal. That's an easy hack. So in this case, the easy hacks only have 3 digits in the combination. So that's going to be, should be a cakewalk. there's a 1. 4, 4. Okay, so 4, 1, 5, maybe? Alright. So that was easy. But it's not the control panel that we need for the elevator. Actually, good lift. Let's access this one. Oh, now we see... Basically, we had the panel for the warehouse boss that we saw just before. Now we're going to look at the shipping manifest. Maybe there's something interesting in there. So now they're shipping, so they're shipping outside of the warehouse. So we have 50 casks of whiskey, probably, that are shipped to the Middle East. Okay. And then 50 casks to Eastern Europe. Okay. And 50 casks to the West Africa Liberation Front. And reinforced units, ATAS equipped. So, reinforced whiskey casks to some, like, guerrilla gang or... I don't know how to define them, but to some kind of insurgent team in West Africa. They probably want whiskey. That would make sense, maybe. I don't know. Questions. Mysteries. So now we have reception. What did we get? Oh, 12 test subjects from the Vagrant Rescue Team. Oh, that's nice. They're rescuing vagrants. How nice of them. 7 specimens from Animal Control. Okay. In your whiskey warehouse distribution center. So, okay. Oh, no. So 3 crates of PPE. We've heard about PPE from the last 2.5 years. And some circuit boards and aluminum components. Okay, again, we're in a whiskey distribution warehouse. And subjects from the morgue and subjects from housekeeping. Okay. So, that's feels mysterious to me. So now we're going to go down the lift because we've done pretty much all we can do right now in the warehouse, and we're gonna have to go to the basement of the facility. So let's go to the lobby. Now we're entering the lobby. We were in a kind of regular warehouse a couple minutes ago.
Right under the city's nose. Is this for real?
You said that there's this like high-tech, super clean facility down.
Told you so, Frank. It's no joke. We're in the belly of the beast. Can you taste the truth?
Ain't here for the truth. I'm here for the fucking money. And maybe to paste Kenny if the situation presents itself.
See that glass door over there behind the glass wall? That's our way into the lab.
Uh-oh. Some automated defenses are greeting us in the lobby.
Oh shit!
So we're going to see the combat
Automated defenses.
part of the game.
Told you this was a big deal.
You can brag later. Let's do this.
So now we're going to have to deal with these turrets and drones. I have... Let's burst this turret down. Let this drone down, hopefully... Oh, that wasn't enough to kill it, but yeah, I think Sally's gonna finish it off with her punches. Oh yeah.
Lights out.
Yeah, the EMP grenade would be nice. Well, I'll use one. Does he have that one? Yes, he does. So let's blast all these drones. We see in the panel over here, that's from Frank's Keen-Eyed ability, where we see their hit points, they're damaged a little bit, and that their weaknesses are blunt damage, so like punches and sticks and baseball bat, and tech damage, which is Gavin's special abilities, and EMP grenades. So we're gonna blast these characters with an EMP grenade. Well, these turrets, and now they're stunned. So I'm going to be able to shoot them with a shotgun, take a little damage, and now we're going to punch them, mess up their circuitry with Sally. Now Gavin, let's use his overload ability. So we're going to basically, not necessarily spam the enemy with garbage data, but attack it with Gavin's little tablet thing. And that's a lot of damage. So now we can punch the turret. And as we can see, well now it's dead. But as we can see, the turret, there's a little icon that says like this blunt damage will be more effective. Good job, Gavin. If I use my pistol, you'd see that the pistol icon doesn't have a little up arrow. That tells you that it's stronger. So I'll use my bat because I know that that's what works. And the turret has this little debuff over here. It's stunned from the EMP grenade. And the shield icon indicates how many defense buffs the enemy has. Once the defense buffs are gone, it's going to be staggered for a turn or two depending on the enemy, and it's going to be more vulnerable to damage during this time, and it's not going to be able to attack until it regains its defense buffs. So it's a good thing to stagger enemies. You can interrupt their charged attacks if you time it right. And now take that turret, and now Frank's going to, well, it could be kind of sneaky in guard, but yeah. Now we're going to finish it off. Oh, let's use Sally's SMG. Probably spray around the room. Oh, success. 3 hits. Now I got another achievement for killing 50 enemies throughout my playthrough. And we're going to see the level up screen. So now we have Satisfied Sally getting new abilities and more hit points and more avoidance to enemy attacks. And Frank gets more avoidance and more hit points, but he's not as tough. So Sally has like 330 some hit points, and Frank's at 260. So he's a little bit flimsier than Sally, but he still can hold his own because he can do a lot of damage. We have new skill points available, so I'll go assign those, and that's pretty much going to be the end of the stream, I think.
I told you there was something crazy about this place. What kind of warehouse has turrets with machine guns protecting it?
I'm gonna let Gavin brag a little bit.
Fine, you were right. Happy now.
Shut the fuck up, you two morons. How about we get back to finding out what's going on in here?
Damn, a fingerprint reader. It'll take me ages to crack this. It's not gonna happen.
Figure something out, Cav.
Oh, Sally's not happy right now.
Don't suppose any of you have a scientist's finger somewhere on you?
Easy there, Gav. A fingerprint should suffice.
And how do you propose we do that without a scientist around?
Step 1, finding fingerprints. Now, we could spend the entire day bent over scrounging for prints, or we could be clever and find ourselves a UV light. We're in a secret underground lab. I reckon that shouldn't be too difficult to find.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a plan.
So that's going to be the start of the next big puzzle section of the chapter. Yeah, there's 3 chapters in the game. There's a bunch of puzzles through all of them because you're an adventure game. In an adventure game, you're going to solve puzzles and collect items and kind of try to figure out what to do next. I think the puzzles are solid in the game. They're fun, and they're not of the 1980, mid 80s, early 90s type of puzzle where you just have to combine like a set of car keys and a broomstick and have, I don't know, a spear or something. It's puzzle. They're puzzles that make sense and that kind of have logic to them. Yay, modern games, woo! And they're a really good design throughout. I think reviews have corroborated what I'm saying. And as you're progressing through the game, you're going to have interesting puzzles to kind of discover more of what's going on throughout everything. So to make progress, we're going to assign the skill points, and I think that's going to be pretty much it for the stream. Again, thank you to everybody that was there today to chat. Feel free, if you're there, to say hi. We still have a couple of minutes. So now, Frank, I'm using Burst Fire a lot, but Artery Slash becomes really good because bleeding inflicts damage based on the target's total health. So when you run into enemies with a lot of hit points, like bosses, for example, you can make them bleed, and you're going to be, well, you're going to not necessarily have an advantage, but you're going to inflict good damage that is regular and steady the whole time. And now Sally, I think her toughness thing is good. Now we have her strength minigames and ability that are going to cost a little less, so that's good. Could have more hit points or more damage. I'll go for more damage. So now we have brutality, where she just does, she has an extra hit 6% chance to crit. The next level is going to be 8, and 12% more damage in general, or critical hit damage. So when she lands those crits, it's going to punch harder. We are looking at. We're going to close with the objective log again. Not because I wrote the text or anything, but yeah, I like how it kind of guides you without telling you everything. So yeah, okay, so now, okay, Frank kind of admits that Gavin's right. It's kind of weird. And now we have he found a guide online because Elite Treasure Hunter 69 posted a guide to copying fingerprints. So now that's the 5-point guide to copying a fingerprint to use somewhere. Step 1, you're going to have to find a UV torch, so basically a little light that shines UV light. And we're going to have to look for it. So that's the next part that we're going to see at some point. And I think that's going to wrap it up. As a reminder, Sunny Gold is available now on Steam for PC. It's relatively cheap. I think it's at a good price to just like give it a try to see if you like it, and I think you will. That aesthetic and the mood and everything is throughout the game and is a lot of fun. And I don't know, I'm still Fidix from a game designer at Become Studios that worked on the game along with a whole team of talented people, and we are collectively inviting you to check it out and tell us what you think. So that's gonna wrap it up for me today. Thank you all for being here and have a great day. Bye everybody.